EWN politics editor, her recent interview was like, that for me was like a South African standing for South Africa.
The proportion of farmers that we have in here, they're not really farmers. They're just urban dwellers. That's what they are. They make sure that they get and proceed with whatever inheritance that they inherited from their forefathers or wherever that they got it from.
In no more than 10 years, there's going to be a civil war in South Africa. There's going to be a racial war in South Africa.
When we're so focused on fighting each other, we're not going to be focused on what they're doing. They're going to be sending ammunition, helping us kill each other so that they can take... This is what Americans been doing for years. So what he did was a power play. He brought in Johan Rupert.
I agree with
who is
that,
an Afrikaans man, who is a billionaire, right? Who can speak himself and say, my people are not being killed. It is a crime problem. It is not a white genocide problem that we have in South Africa. Because Trump was going to humiliate Cyril.
You can't tell me that people that are in Gauteng, they all want land. They don't want land. Chief, they're here to get urban jobs and wear suits and be comfortable.
How most Dutch settlers came in is they found the Khoi people, they gave them alcohol and took their land.
Wow.
That was the compensation that they were given.
Used us to rob Heshoff. No, we never really, most of us really never cared about him.
We still don't, yeah.
We never cared about him as a billionaire, right? Or as a South African billionaire whatsoever. Yeah. Until Penwell started like really documenting his story and also bringing him on the platform. At some point, I remember they were saying Pen is sold out, you know, and then he came out and said, no, this guy actually gave me like 35,000, not necessarily like huge money. You know?
But he still gave you money.
Let me finish my point. Let me finish my point. Now Rob goes to a ruin report, you know, and this hurts me because that's my favorite podcast.
Yeah.
Alongside PBD podcast, Patrick Bet David podcast, and he goes there and he speaks lies, bro, pure lies. And I saw Penn writing a very long post saying these are the lies that Rob has told on the PBD podcast.
Yeah.
And that made me realize that maybe what we need right now is South Africans that can protect South Africa. If we need to fund them to go to these media houses, because these media houses have power and reach. So people like Tirimadia, you know, EWN politics editor, her recent interview was like, that for me was like a South African standing for South Africa.
Yeah.
We don't have South Africans, black South Africans right now,
because they're not allowed.
Going out and saying, this is a lie.
Yeah.
This is not true. And she was there like really, really on it.
If you remember the time when President Zuma was still sitting as president of this country, a lot of people that you'll see, let me just say the race that you'll see chanting and crying foul, busy with propaganda, it was white people.
Yeah.
So we are back there where we started. Understandably, Ramaphosa is currently the president of the country, but they are flagging it backwards because Zuma is back in parliament. That's why you'll find each and every opportunity to use, they'll make sure that they fit him in. They fit him in order to benefit whatever that they want. Look at the so-called white farmers in this country. They're not white farmers. They're just urban dwellers. That's
you mean
what
the 50-something guys that went...
It's
not
49.
Not
It's
even
49.
those ones. Not
Yeah.
even those ones.
The food takers.
The white genocide that they're claiming it's happening in this country, that is not happening.
Yeah.
Even the proportion of farmers that we have in here, they're not really farmers. They're just urban dwellers. That's what they are. They make sure that they get and proceed with whatever inheritance that they inherited from their forefathers or wherever that they got it from. And they continue with that process of pretending like being farmers. They don't really farm. They don't do that. You get me? So the 49 that went abroad claiming that they seeking refuge, even that guy, Carl, who's that guy? Carl
Kriel, something like that.
Carl Kriel, hey, something like that.
Yeah.
He used my friend's photo. He photoshopped it That
Is it
photo,
Kalkril? I'm not sure, but we'll verify the name.
yeah,
We'll verify the
Kalkril
name, yeah.
Hayes, whatever the name is, bro.
Where they used the Zuma photo.
Yeah, that photo. I've got an original of that photo because that photo was took with my friend on it. You get me? So they photoshopped his head and they used his t-shirt and his sweater, and then next to him it was President Zuma. On which day and which year did whoever
So
go
what
to
were they
Uganda?
trying to push with that narrative?
It's a misinformation, hence they have the allowance of direction to do so. Remember, Elon Musk is on their side. Elon Musk owns X. So they are able to push their narratives based on platforms where they can get traction. Misinformation, they're comfortable with doing it. You can't just crop a photo of a young black man and take out his head and put your
White guy.
a white guy, a fat
Yeah.
white guy.
So they were trying to say what? Zuma is sold out to white people.
Yeah,
Was that the narrative?
It's the narrative behind it, and also that
whack.
Zuma was associating in business with them for whatever reason that we don't know. They just want propaganda on top of Msholozi for no reason.
Hopes, welcome us to the show. This is going to be a
bro.
long one. Yeah.
Yeah, so welcome, guys. It's another episode of Break It Down. I'm Kat MPH, and I'm here with Elvis and Theo. I'll be spearheading just for a little bit. So what we've been talking about
And
is the infamous.
we've got someone who's joining us off camera right now.
Oh, yes,
So,
yes.
Yeah, we've got our brother Skumbuzo is going to join us for this episode and a couple more of episodes coming. So you won't see him on camera. But soon you will be able to see his face, and hopefully you welcome him with some love. Yeah.
And also, guys, if you haven't, please subscribe, like, and comment. We like engaging with you guys.
Thank you. Yeah.
I wanted to add something on this whole white genocide thing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's not the first time, surprisingly, that someone pushes the idea of white genocide to push their own interests. We had David Lane in the 1990s, who is a neo-Nazi. And he started the whole propaganda thing about white genocide. So basically what this does is it makes the Europeans nervous, the European powers. If they think that white people are actually being killed, and then they lose trust in African...
What did you say his name was?
David Lane.
Where?
It was round about the times of Hitler.
Yeah.
Right after that. So it was
in
a
Europe?
Jew. Yes, it was
Okay.
a Jew-based type of thing
Okay.
where they were saying the Jews are still being killed.
Yeah.
Basically, it's the Jews who started this white genocide thing.
Yeah.
And then it's been something that's been used predominantly over and over again, so that European powers lose trust in African unities, and they say that we can't govern ourselves. So then they have to step in and regulate everything.
And you know the whole thing of like white people are being killed, I remember did an episode with Dr. Malusi Mngube, and he said in no more than 10 years there's going to be a civil war in South Africa. There's going to be a racial war in South Africa, or what he termed a racial class war, because even if it's not necessarily looked at as a racial war, it's going to be a class war. People on the ground are going to have to fight people at the top because they have no means to survive. But when you look at it, people at the bottom, it's actually black people. Majority, yes. It's black people. And then people at the top is the other race. So eventually it turns into a racial war. So it's a racial class war that he predicts is going to take place within 10 years. If stuff like your Orania, independency, Western Cape independency, white genocide, all of these narratives, when they continue to take place without no one actually calling them out and no one doing anything, what's going to happen is that these two groups, which is obviously
Black and white.
Yeah, black and white, are going to end up in a civil war in South Africa. And the world is actually watching. That's why you see people like both Donald Trump, Elon Musk coming in with all of this misinformation, because they know and they can see where this whole thing is going. And they want to make sure that when that war comes in, they are justified to send their weapons and people to come and destroy black people.
Look, They may plan it in accordance to the way they want it to unfold, but we are Africans, and I'm pretty certain that people like Steve Biko, your Solomon Mashangu, your Chris Hani, you name them, their blood was on the ground. It was mixed with sand. It was for a purpose, and it will not go with any stone unturned. Like, trust me, things will unfold. They may think that them pushing their propaganda and misleading people on the basis of the information that they're displaying out there, it's the right way to go. But it will catch up with them, because not only people are watching, but you are doing it with innocent people, innocent souls. It must count for something. It will count for something.
Yeah.
It will count for something. Trust me.
Will it take 10 years though? Or are we looking at the resources that the white people are trying to protect? Will they be depleted within 10 years? Will the hand in the jar, whatever is in the jar, will it be finished within 10 years?
Definitely
Because
not.
I'm thinking in this case, whatever's in the jar has to be the minerals. Because this whole white genocide thing is for us to look bad so that they can continue
Stealing.
with their operations.
True.
Back doors. But will it take 10 years?
I don't think it will take 10 years. When you look at the propaganda that's being used so heavily against Africa, you can tell that the European powers still have heavy interests.
Yeah.
So they know what they stand to gain by pushing a war between two races. Because when we're so focused on fighting each other, we're not going to be focused on what they're doing. They're going to be sending ammunition, helping us kill each other so that they can take... This is what Americans been doing for years. They start a war in a country, then those people kill each other.
They
then
start
they
with
come in.
propaganda.
Yes, they start with the
Yeah.
propaganda.
So that they can
Then
justify
come with the
themselves when
war.
they bring the
Then they
military.
fund
With
the
PR.
war. And then after that, those people kill each other and they take that land.
In our case, it's going to be us versus the white people. Who's going to assist? Who's likely to assist a South African in such a case?
Who is South
Russia.
Africa? Who is South Africa when you say South Africa? Because here we're talking about
Now I'm looking at a civil war between blacks and whites
of South Africa.
within South Africa.
So,
yes.
yes.
But then outside interference or outside assistance, would it likely come from USA or our BRICS brothers, counterparts?
USA is already involved.
Yeah.
Is already involved and it has already taken their side.
Okay.
This is the group of people that we are supporting. Once you guys decide to, we are waiting for you to launch, basically.
So if it so happens that, okay, in my head, I'm just riffing, by the way.
Yeah.
If it so happens that, fine, the West supports the white.
Yeah.
Is it the white minority? They are a minority.
Yeah,
now,
they
course,
are a
yes.
minority.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's why it qualifies them to be refugees and being victims of genocide. Will the West support the white minority and China, India, Brazil support the
It
African?
becomes
The
tricky.
guys from BRICS.
It becomes
Yeah.
tricky in that essence because most likely Vladimir would get involved, right? Because he does have very heavy interests in South Africa as well. But now, how do you then say, I am choosing a side when you are coming in as an outside influence? What do you say? Because obviously it's going to start with them sending things like aid and help and things like that, trying to make the world believe that they're helping end the war, when in actual fact, they're just making it bigger.
Yeah.
So it becomes tricky to pick a side in that essence.
And you know what is my problem even with picking sides? Ramaphosa is a very...
Ndate Ramaphosa. Ibeke kanjalo.
Yeah. Hey,
More respect to Elvis.
President Ramaphosa.
Yeah.
Yes. He's very indecisive. Even when you look at, the way he conducts his relationship with the BRICS members, he's like a clickbait guy. You know, he's not really sure, which
He
side.
is.
Like, he's not, I prefer dealing with a person who's straightforward. Who's
Straight
like,
up.
yeah, I was like, hey,
Yeah.
bro,
Yeah, this
I don't fuck with you.
Yeah,
You understand?
straight up.
See, but-
Or
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
And I'm not with her. You understand? or I'm not with you, I'm with her. Straightforward, bro. Don't play us both like, you're trying to get some percentage from, this one person and then another part of the percentage from the other person. So that's what I'm getting with Cyril Ramaphosa, that he doesn't really understand that this game is, you can only win it if you define, if you draw the line, basically, to say, this is what I stand for. Yeah. So he'll be talking about, what do they call it? Non-aligned philosophy, da-da-da-da. That doesn't work, bro.
Yeah, he comes up with political jargons. Look, here's the thing. Ramaphosa, I'll refer to him like that, Chief.
Yeah.
And you'll understand why. That is his name, and we'll refer to him as such.
And because of that will be difficult for Russia to even decide that we want to help you, because he's not sure. He's all over the place.
Remember when...
I mean, if I was Russia, I was like, hey, bro, you first have to go on that platform and declare which side are you on.
Really knows what's up.
Remember... Chief, remember when Nelson Mandela was about to serve his term as president of this country, and he alluded to the fact that he won't serve for long. He was telling certain people, amongst those people it was Johan Rupert, and they asked him, why are you saying you're not going to serve for long? And he stated the reasons. And they asked him, who do you think can be your successor? Behind their heads, it was Ramaphosa.
Okay.
But
what did he say?
But he opted for the Sussex student, Thabo Mbeki.
Okay.
And they asked why. He was like, I want this young man to go and learn business and have money so that when he comes back, he doesn't take bribes.
Which young man?
Ramaphosa. Okay. So he went to business. He acquired the way he acquired. We don't know how. Whatever.
We know how.
Yeah.
Whatever he learned.
So you know, but you don't have the reference. So don't say you know. So after acquiring whatever that you acquire in business and being big, the whole narration behind it was for you not to steal. Then there comes a case of you having money and dollars in mattresses. So you defeated the point of justice in the beginning. That's why I'm saying I concur with what you're saying when you say there's a person that takes here, there. Even if when you look at the...
It's not clear, man.
Yeah, it's not clear. Even when you look at the US trip, look at the people who accompanied him. I understand the government and what's on. Let's look at the external factors of people that accompanied him. Eniels is a golfer in South Africa. Professional, he made it big and what's on. I understand why he went for that guy.
Why?
Simply because Trump is a golfer. Maybe it will sweeten the relationships. That was a swag move. He was supposed to take Kastasi Minga to show that he was decisive.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. Yeah, to show that he was decisive about his plan.
Yeah.
I'm just making...
Sure, of course. Yeah.
So, he also take Johan Rupert. I don't have a problem with Johan Rupert. Ne?
Yeah.
A lot of people can dispute the fact that
he's white.
He
owns a lot of products.
Yeah.
He's a monopolist.
Guys, we have to move from that and see how we solve in order to going forward. You get me? What I love about Rupert, he was there, he was blatant about the truth and robust about it. He even confronted Steenhuisen to say, your city that you reside in, that they're always using as a big reference. Crime rate, you get me, in Cape Flats.
Yeah.
So it shows that person, he's not a factional person and what's on. Hey, there might be factions and other departments and what's not that he's running and what's not, but we have to look at the core problem and the core issue of solving these things. We can't have a president that will be turning on the chair like this, looking at a propaganda video like it's He wasn't caught off guard. He knew that video. He wasn't caught off. He was acting being.
Do you think he knew that video?
He knew that video. That video trended for weeks before they went to the US.
But then it wasn't linked to SA. Was it linked? That video, was it linked
the one with
the crosses?
Bro. It was linked to US. I wish you guys were more on Twitter.
Yeah.
Because that is the generation news currently of propaganda. Everything is released there by a second.
all the news.
So they knew about that video. They knew about those fraudulent photos that
So he
Trump
was-
was producing.
He was
Like,
acting.
He was acting, bro. He
Guys,
knew about
what if
that
he wasn't
video. It's
prepared?
a fake video. He knows it's fake. That's why he asked a question to Trump that where is this? Trump was like, South Africa. You
I'm
get
gonna
me? So-
have to heavily disagree with you guys
Okay.
in terms of Cyril not picking a side or him looking.
All right.
You guys won't know the end game until the end game happens.
True.
Unfortunately.
Right? That is the philosophy of politics.
Yeah.
It is a game. It is a mind game. It's a
Yeah.
Do you think he has a bigger
negotiation.
plan?
He does. He always does. Cyril's always about, hear me out.
Okay, sure.
He's always about the end game, right?
Okay.
He's always about the end results. Yeah, he looks like he's being wishy-washy and he's not playing, he's not picking a side. But that's because if he did pick a side, he was going to be painted in a certain image, right? So what he did was a power play. He brought in Johan Rupert,
I agree with
who is
that.
an
yeah.
Afrikaans man, who is a billionaire, right? Who can speak himself and say, my people are not being killed. It is a crime problem. It is not a white genocide problem that we have in South Africa. Because Trump was going to humiliate Cyril. I don't know if you guys watched that video. Every single time Cyril tried to speak, Trump would overspeak him.
Yeah, true.
We know that Cyril knows that Trump doesn't respect him. And Trump is obviously not politically inclined, right? So what conversation are you going to have with somebody that is known for just... It's like having a conversation with Julius Malema at this point. You're only going to make radical views to push your agenda. But you're not going to try and hear me out. So I'm going to bring people that you're going to sit and listen to because you only listen to your billionaire boys, right? So that's why Ernie Els as well.
But you're the president of the country.
Yeah, bro. That's
Yeah,
You're the head
yeah,
of state.
But the end
But
goal-
if the end goal is, I did not pick a side. If he decides to pick a side now, we're going to have something to say.
Nah, mina ngithi the end goal is for him to keep on chowing.
There's that as well, because that was a business transaction more than anything.
Basically.
They were there to protect the economy,
Yeah.
but it really is their interests. Let's not forget our president is a billionaire as well.
how do you go to your neighbor very far? Let's say you stay in Joburg, I stay in Matsulu. You come to me and say, hey, bro, I want to protect my plate. It's full of food. It's in Joburg. And you came to me in Matsulu. You came to tell me that. Like, how does it make sense? You have food. You want to protect your food abroad. Like, it wasn't even supposed to happen, that trip. Every person currently in this world, they're lining up to go to the Oval Office to beg. To
Basically.
beg.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
You have power, you have mineral, you are there to beg.
Shout out
If-
to Ibrahim Traore for
Thank you.
denying
That's why I'm saying-
that meeting.
That's
Because
what
they
I'm
were going to
saying.
kill him, he knew.
That's what I'm
They
saying.
didn't want to talk to him.
Yeah.
So
it's
then
not a chance.
when is it gonna stop us being puppets of the West as elders, leadership of a nation, a country?
When we
a
stop being a
sovereign country?
democracy
Oh,
and start being a revolution.
There is the
so scrap democracy.
there is the
No
13th
country has ever thrived under
There is
any
the-
democracy. It's never been successful. It's an image. It's a farce. It's what they feed you guys to make it like we're all peaceful. But in actual fact, we're still economically owned by this minority that is claiming that they're being killed. Economically, they're the ones in charge.
Should in this case, Juju, as the star of the show, would take a stance that would be of a particular aim, but the aim, according to what we think he would do, would be more for the people.
in order for
Then-
this country to be at a place that they are comfortable to run the 13th official language, which is violence. Running a revolution. That's what it takes to run a revolution. That is the last resort. It's when a person wants, he doesn't need. And when you want, you take. Remember that.
Yeah.
So, coming to the Land Expropriation Act, we look at the Land Expropriation Act and how they want to go about it. Remember, black people, we don't want land. We don't want land as black people.
We don't want land.
Yeah, we don't want land.
Chief, me, I want land.
Listen, you can't want land. You need land. Because the minute you want land, you'll apply the 13th official language that I was telling you about, which is violence.
If I want land.
Yeah, if you want land.
If I need land?
If you need land, there are scientific elements and systematic programs that needs to fall in place. Remember, let me make you an example. We need to be smart about it. We can't say we want land. Look at Gauteng, for instance. It is the smallest province amongst others in this country, but it is the most populated. You can't tell me that people that are in Gauteng, they all want land. They don't want land. Chief, they're here to get urban jobs and wear suits and be comfortable.
And do what?
It rubs with their fancy when we speak about this land expropriation without compensation. You get me? They're interested in conversating about it and envisioning it, but it's not within them. Because remember, most people who came to Gauteng, some of them, they come from far provinces, but provinces that have sufficient land. They left their land there at their provinces and came to Gauteng. And you want to tell me that they want land? They need land. So those systematic elements and scientific ones, you would have to, as a country, identify which group of people need land, and also identify what do they need that land for. You get me?
Yeah.
So those are the programs of how we are supposed to go about this thing of land and making sure that we are aligned properly with it.
Yeah.
So in this case, we're going to apply for land. So apply kubani.
No.
Is the land better with the state or as things are?
It should be with the state. How this land expropriation was
What happens to
initially
private property
supposed
rights?
to work. Yeah, it
Yes,
was supposed
it's
to be a
got-
thing of we buy you out.
Okay.
Right? This land was not initially yours.
Yeah.
But since you've established a business or whatever on it, we buy you out as the state. Then that land goes to the population. It becomes tricky though, because some of these private owned properties, the state also gains, like it benefits from
Yeah.
it. So how do I then stop my income?
But I think when you read the Land Expropriation Act, it is not giving the vibes of, we'll take your land, or else. It doesn't give you those vibes of like, we don't care what you think, we'll take your land. It's basically, very much, assuring in a sense that if you own the land, they even go to an extent of saying, look, if the land is vacant and they make proper means of identifying the owner without actually winning, then they will take the land. They will confiscate the land without compensation, because there's no one to be compensated for that land. You know which land are they talking about? You just take a road trip. Leave Johannesburg, maybe go to KZN, right? On the road, you see a whole lot of big farms, your RCL farms, these big guys that are really like big in the food chain, right? Then you will see land that is just demarcated.
Yeah.
There's nothing happening there, nothing really. There's no tourist attraction. There's no animals. There's nothing, but it's demarcated. Why? Because it's private property. Where is the owner? Some of the owners are found that they haven't set foot in South Africa in the last 20 years.
Some of them are
That's why
foreigners.
They are found somewhere else, in other countries, somewhere, but they own the land. And now, if you want to do anything about the land, you need to consult them. First of all, how did they acquire the land?
Yeah.
Secondly, if they are not using the land, then what must the government do? The government says, look, we'll contact you, we'll make effort to contact you, we'll tell you we want this land, we'll give you this amount of money, and if we can't get hold of you, we'll take the land, unfortunately. That's what they're saying. But white people have a problem because they know, and this is the problem that I have with white arrogance. White people tend to be in denial of the fact that most of the land they sit in, is not the land that was purchased. Yes, of course, I might have purchased it from Theo, right? But Theo's grandfather actually didn't purchase it. So for instance, yes,
Okay.
yeah, today that's why they say that no, I bought this land
Mm-hmm.
from Theo. Theo is another guy who used to own the land before that. But let's check, where did Theo get this land in the first place? You understand?
So most of, like, I think what you're saying is right. The white arrogance of, it's like the people who say they don't see color. Do you know what I mean? You're blatantly ignoring the fact that yes, this land was not initially yours, and that's something we can't ignore. We should stop skating around it. I think the problem is walking around eggshells with the whole race chat, when we should just be honest, guys. How most Dutch settlers came in is they found the Khoi people, they gave them alcohol and took their land.
Wow.
That was the compensation that they were given.
Alcohol.
That's why most farmers in the Eastern Cape and the Western Cape, like Xhosa people, Khoi people, have an alcohol problem. It stems from that. They were compensated with alcohol, and then their land was taken from them.
Yeah.
So how do we then trace that back to your roots? Your land was taken back in the 1800s, and now it's time for it to come back, but now Theo is acquired your land. That whole process, how long do you think it would take for you to actually, your family to
It's a forever.
and it's never ending.
Yeah.
Because this also with compensation, the government claims to not have money
to compensate
these private owners. So that means the land is just never gonna come back if that is the strategy that's been used.
Guys, can you imagine the land question?
There's barely any
we've
money
been-
to feed us.
Like, the land question has not been addressed for the last 30 years.
Yep.
That's why you
30
see.
years.
That's why you see the oppositions.
No ways, man.
Specifically, your EFF, your BLF, your Mkhonto Wesizwe. Like whenever they approach the land thing, they are robust and they are unforgiving about it. They are looking forward to implementing the violent stage.
Mara go
Of a
thusi,
revolution.
because those very people are also corrupt. You can't
Engage.
sell me an image of you are for me.
True.
But you're the one helping the government
That's what,
steal.
that's what I'm saying.
So-
That's why I was alluding to the fact that we need to look at it properly and not find ourselves in a situation like where Zimbabwe is at right now. You get me? Like, that's why the systematic elements and the scientific ones, they need to come into place so that when we approach it better. Because in the end, trust me, if we want to approach it with the mentality of black agenda, black victory things, we're going to kill each other. We're going to murder each other. It's going to be black on black violence. And
Funny enough,
die.
now you mentioned Zimbabwe, they had this very same policy, right? Land with compensation,
Yeah.
which was the British Council was assisting them in that. Then they just decided to just change their minds. That's what happened to Zimbabwe. Britain decided to take a step back, so obviously they couldn't afford to compensate.
But
The people were angry,
yeah.
and then a
Yeah.
revolution happened.
Yeah. But again, the whole compensation thing, honestly speaking, I still don't understand it. Why do I compensate you, Kat, if you didn't compensate anyone?
Because I have a multi-million rand business on this land now.
You didn't
and
compensate-
The government taxes me on this business, so they're benefiting
yeah,
from
I
it.
created systems
Wow.
I
in
created
place.
jobs.
It's a wow.
I created
It comes
systems.
back to the same thing, systems. We didn't have systems. We are cultural people. We are with norms of our traditions. And that is our system, unfortunately. Our system didn't work on ink, paper, right? So they worked on ink, paper, right? Why don't you ask yourself why a pencil can be erased and a pen can't be erased? They knew they were going to use this thing so that you can erase this thing whenever they want to.
Sure.
So they
To
needed
do their
law.
own shenanigan things. You get me? That's how they flow with it.
Yeah.
So as long as there's no evidence that this land was taken unjustly, if that's such a word, probably never going to get the land back.
Look, even if there is evidence, the main fact that I came onto that land and built a multi-million rand company that the state benefits from means it's going to take forever
Yeah.
for whichever family who actually owns that land to get anything. If anything, the government would probably just compensate that family, and then you just
That's
keep
it.
it pushing,
Yeah.
buy you out of your land.
and 50,000.
Yeah,
What
a
you're
young
t- what-
50K.
What you're talking about, as Kumbuzo, is very important because, tracing back, these people have already created their own, have already fabricated their own evidence.
There's no record.
Yeah, you know the thing that I was telling you, that a whole lot of people that used to own stolen land in South Africa in 1994,
They sold it.
they sold it so that they can create proof of purchase, proof of payment, right? To say when they
Systems.
come for you, you say, no, but I bought this land.
Yeah.
I never really stole this land.
Yeah.
Right. So then now it becomes a very complicated case to even take it before court.
As it stands, what the apartheid government did before they left power, they wiped out every single record, like especially when it comes to farming. So it's difficult to trace back lineages because of that, because it's either the lineage was wiped out or the records kept were completely destroyed. Because I remember Cyril Ramaphosa mentioned that when we came into government, we had nothing. No proof, no evidence, nothing. We had to start from scratch.
That's why you get people like Carl Hayes.
They can fabricate things.
Yeah, they can fabricate
Yes.
things and be comfortable to speak about how I left my 5-bedroom house, how I left
Bro,
my car,
and my
how I
mom.
left my mom. Do you think you can go to an abroad country and really, really be comfortable living your dogs, your
I mean, if you guys
mom?
are dying,
Yeah.
why would you leave your
Why
family?
would you leave your
Yeah.
family if you are dying? Like, really? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't give any logic. It's just a place of privilege that they were seeking, and then they gained refugee status in the US. Not only refugee
They were used
status,
as a bait,
he
man.
even gained weight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why not all of them left. It was a select group.
A select
This
group.
Small group.
It shows that there's a
was to
system.
push
Yeah.
propaganda further to show
What are
that
the
here
chances?
they are.
What are the chances that they got paid in dollars?
Exactly.
I mean, like, I'm asking.
I'm
What
also
are the
thinking
chances?
the
Someone
same
on
thing.
radio, was it on radio? But I heard it somewhere, right?
Yeah.
I think it's on TikTok, yes. And shout out to the EWN guys. I think it's Adrian Seen who actually debunked the video that was taken in 2020 of lined up trucks on the road where it was a march, right? And that video was also used at the White House to justify, like, okay, there was a whole lot of like a protest against white farmers because there was a murder case that took place during that weekend in KZN, I think. And during that weekend, the following weekend, rather, people started protesting. A lot of like farmers and a lot of people started protesting
Oh,
and
that
saying,
Zuma must fall.
no.
protest.
The farm thing,
Yeah.
literally, in 2020. I
Okay.
think it was in September, if I'm not mistaken. And they started protesting, and Minister of Police was also there. And those white people even said themselves on camera that they feel that the police actually did a better job into addressing this farm case murder. But it was only one case. It was
Imagine.
only one case. And it took place in 2020, right? It was solved. That's it. Now, Adrian Singh and Tsidi Madia, shout out to them, really proper journalists. What do they call them? Champions of South Africa, I call them. Because these are the people that really went on these platforms, on media, big media platforms, and really gave context on this whole issue and misinformation about white farmers being killed. And Tsidi was also clear that there's no such thing as white farmers are being killed in South Africa. Because even when you look at the stats, it's only somewhere around 40...
It's not even.
No, 40 something 40 something thousand murders are taking place in South Africa. Generally, anyone is being killed. And only about, if I'm not mistaken, about 8 of them are related to farm murders.
Yeah.
And within those 8, we still haven't really broken them down in terms of race to say these are white farmers, these are black farmers. You understand? So the whole notion of white people are being killed in South Africa, it's a lie. It's a whole fabricated thing that is being pushed by the USA, Donald Trump and his friends for whatever,
Elon.
for whatever purpose that they want to achieve.
Starlink.
Starlink is the purpose. Remember,
Starlink.
Starlink doesn't follow practices such as BEE. So Elon, that made him very mad because he doesn't want black people in his company.
No, he just wants to remain white.
Yeah, so
I
that's
will
why he
remain
started
white.
the
He's
propaganda.
okay, white. We don't want him to turn black. He's like that.
So this was
good.
initially to put pressure on President Ramaphosa. Because they made him look bad in front of the entire world. So they were putting pressure on him so that he can allow Starlink
That's
to come and
strategic.
operate.
it's
Yeah, that's how
politics.
they move.
Strategic.
It's politics.
In a
What do you
way.
guys think? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking we define Musk wanted Starlink to be operational in Mzansi. That wasn't given a green light because BEE.
Yeah.
He does not want to give or to adhere to the rules of SA in that regard.
Yeah.
Why? Okay, maybe he wanted to, just assuming.
Yeah.
Just that he asked the question, who am I going to appoint? Is it am I appointing this black person
Yeah.
or this group of black people to own this 30% share? Or are you guys the ruling party, the ones that are going to decide who's going to get the 30%? So maybe they were like, I will decide, chief, don't worry.
Yeah. I would be with
He was
I
like,
would be
nah.
with Elon Musk on that one because I wouldn't want the ANC people to decide on who's going to sit at Starlink board or have
because
shares
it's gonna
when they
benefit
move Fikile Mbalula from sports, Minister of Sports to police. Those are the people that are not really like
Now
capable.
he's
You
minister
understand?
in the presidency.
Now
it's just ridiculous.
He's everywhere. Like for me, that's incompetency, right?
True.
At its highest
One,
level.
one, I wouldn't allow any sitting government, whether it's the DA, Patriotic Alliance, EFF, whoever, to actually decide on that. Maybe a standing committee, a portfolio committee in Parliament, and that portfolio committee must also,
Outside.
that portfolio committee must also be determined by personal expertise of members who are going to form part of that committee. And within that committee, they are not themselves going to be shareholders. Actually, what I think should happen is that instead of BEE law, part of the shares should go to the state instead of like individuals.
I'm saying they should go to the people themselves.
The state, that means we don't
why-
get
why-
anything. We
why
don't
the state?
benefit if
Why
we...
the
if-
state? Because if you say people, then it's individuals. It's like, okay, Patrice Motsepe. Or, okay, Cyril Ramaphosa. Okay. It's not going to be you,
To
with
be
you and I. Just
fair,
forget. You and I are
Elvis,
not going to get anything from
I
Starlink.
would rather a Patrice Motsepe own shares in that. Let me tell you why. Because he
you
actually
sure?
does end up employing his people. You're saying the state must own. And then what?
Look at what is happening with Time Bank. Have you seen the executive of Time Bank?
No.
They're deployed, chief.
Oh, you must
For
check
a
the executive
reason.
of Time
I'm
Bank. And
saying
then they
they're
say it's
deployed
owned by
for a
Motsepe.
Employee.
Yes,
saying-
he's part owner of Time
Okay, then
Bank.
why don't we see any Motsepe representation?
Listen, guys.
There.
It's
We see Indians,
I
a
think
bunch
it's
of Indians.
facade. It's a facade. It's one of those things whereby they give you a front. Remember, Patrice Motsepe is a front. Like, I don't want to indulge in it too much. It's a.
Y'all are
it's a-
gonna
it's
get
a-
assassinated.
It's,
But
it's,
Ah,
one of those
say
things, guys. You get me?
At this
what is this
point.
thing?
So,
Yeah.
so people like that, the minute you want to root for Patrice Motsepe and whatso not, those are people that eat with them. Those are people that are affiliated with them. You
Yeah.
get me? So like they run their business according to how a country is ran. Because those are private entities, but they are linked to government in some sort.
Me, I'm
You
saying
get me?
a state parastatal must own shares in Starlink.
Me, I'm saying.
I don't know which
Which
parastatal.
state
These
It could be
parasitals
IDC,
have
it
failed
could be
so many
it
times.
could be so many.
They're all paralyzed. They're all
Exactly.
paralyzed. don't even start. They're
All right, cool.
paralyzed.
So the last 5 minutes, I want us to check the issue of Julius Malema as being the protagonist in the White House meeting.
It's so embarrassing to see old people discussing Julius Malema in that.
And
high
he,
level,
he was literally declared enemy number one alongside
like I don't
Jacob Zuma.
understand why.
Yeah.
Because Jacob Zuma.
That brings me then to the May elections, 2024 May elections, where we saw MK taking a serious portion from the EFF to gain themselves is it the third position as the third largest political party in South Africa.
Yeah.
And we know the history between Jacob Zuma, Julius Malema, EFF, right? We know the history. Very hostile relationship. Not a nice place to actually visit from a memory perspective. But are we right now, if those two have been declared as enemy number one, isn't it a moment and a chance, an opportunity for them to merge? Because if they merge together, they could get like serious numbers. And I think black people will even want to vote for them more once they merge, because black people are longing for this unity, not this whole division thing. And Julius Malema, recently someone tweeted and be like, this is the time EFF and MK put egos aside and just unite for the black agenda. And he came in very fast and that won't happen.
Yeah, no, Julius.
That won't happen.
Yeah, I totally concur with what he said. It won't happen.
You don't want MK and EFF to merge?
Yes, I don't want. Let me tell you why. Listen, Chief.
Theo is not progressive,
The minute
guys.
I am. You need to understand, whenever you build a house, you start with the foundation. So if the foundation is bad,
The
it's
house
kaput.
is, yeah.
So
Which foundation is bad in this?
here's the
case?
foundation. Here's
relationship.
where the foundation is bad. Remember how they went about acquiring those members from the economic freedom
Yeah.
fighters.
Yeah.
So there were closed doors meetings. President Malema also alluded to the fact that they were. He confirmed it. And a number of times and people who were present at those meetings with President Zuma, your Vuyani Pambo, your Dalimpofu,
Floyd
Shivambu. You get me? So you are my partner. You do secretive team meetings with someone. Then you conclude, then you want to come to me.
No, but those meetings were not necessarily secretive. It's just that
No. Let me stop you there. They were secretive because Julius didn't know as a leader of a party. He found out
knew.
after.
he just didn't know about the agreements that they made.
From them. He didn't know from them. He knew the intelligence, but he didn't know that they were meeting on this basis and this basis. But he knew that this was going on.
No, but
so remember. No.
Yeah.
Don't interject, Chief. Don't. Remember, when you are my partner, you tell me this is what is happening. I was approached by so and so on the basis of 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
That didn't happen. Floyd backstabbed him. So it happened continually with others. So you expect me to come back to you and merge with you? Not a chance.
Look,
Not
man,
a chance,
this
bro.
merging chat is. We need a coup.
Hey,
Wait, let's start with the measure first before we go to a coup.
Let me
Cat is radical. No.
Let me explain. The MK and the EFF equally are led by radical leaders, right? Who are more ego-based than anything, who protect their interests in front of the public more than they actually do behind closed doors. The action is not put in. So because I want to lead and you want to lead, we can't be in the same party because we both want power.
But that's where real leadership is being demonstrated.
But these people are not real leaders. You're expecting real leadership from people who just want to line their pockets even further. It's not about the people to them, because if it was, they would have achieved this whilst they were still in the ANC. They both left the ANC to go form other parties. And what are those parties going to do?
The EFF will not... Okay, sorry to disturb.
So really, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
A merge is not going to work. We've seen too many parties that come out of the ANC and form and say they're for the people. Then there's a corruption scandal there. Then we move on to another party. It's just a continuous cycle. But I don't see Jacob Zuma and Julius Malema peacefully leading together. It can never happen. It will always be a power struggle.
So it's all about power now.
Yeah, it's not
It
about
has
the
been
people.
even back then. Remember when Julius was recalled as the president of the Youth League in the ANC?
Exactly.
What transpired?
Yeah.
There were enemies from one
He
another.
immediately turned against Zuma because of that. And then started the whole pay back the money situation. Now he's pushing when he was for Zuma, because remember, Julius had the whole "we'll die for Zuma." And then he turned around and said, "You're corrupt, pay back the money."
Then they-
So how are we going to take any of you guys serious?
You build your own thing. After that, you want me to become your subordinate.
Exactly.
Ish. Yeah, no, that's a difficult one.
Yeah.
Because I thought the goal was to liberate
The people.
the people, but now it has become more about me, you.
Yes.
You did this to me.
Yeah.
Da, 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 da. Can't we put that aside?
No, the goal is for people to liberate themselves now. Yeah.
Hence,
to be
we need a
decisive.
coup,
Need to be decisive.
honestly.
Liberate ourselves.
All right. Yeah. So I guess that's how we wrap up the episode. Yeah, quite long and quite engaging.
But I'm still mad, bro.
Yeah.
That Carl Clean, what?
Yeah.
The guy photoshopped my friend's photo, bro. I'm mad.
So that issue for me, honestly speaking, that's whack, man. Like
It's
that's
whack, bro. You even
right
do-
now we've got AI tools that can easily like detect like this thing is just
And that
false,
Photoshop was bad, bro. It's
especially
like
with
it was done
graphics,
by a
bro.
7-year-old. Like, it's so bad, bro.
Yo,
Interestingly
So
enough,
bad.
with that whole Photoshop thing, you see now there's infighting within the Afrikaans groups where there's some Afrikaans people who are calling them out and be like, you guys are
100%.
actually
Why
lying.
are
you doing
You
that?
guys are going too far now.
Yeah.
Because there's some Afrikaans people who have said, I'm never going to leave South Africa because I believe I am South African.
South Africa is haven.
And no point did we as the black people say they should leave. It was never that.
No.
It was always peaceful with us.
Yeah.
It's always the other way around. We're always painted
they have
as
never
the bad guy.
apologized
They've
again.
never apologized, but we kept it pushing
Yeah.
because it was about us,
But
the
it's
people.
fine. If they want to be Amerikaners, it's fine.
Yeah,
Let
the
them be
foottakers.
Amerikaners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, through all the channels this content will be distributed via, may this conversation reach both the ears of the expert and the non-expert in the topics discussed on this episode today. My name is Elvis Mulifi Morph, and this is Break It Down Mondays. I'll see you on the next one.